Hi, this is Ishtar, and I'll be talking about social media and the effects on the political landscape, and particularly the kind of media ecology of the influence of politics on individuals. So I'll be looking at whether social media is good for democracy or whether it's detrimental. So this history of media affecting this kind of ecology was kind of first played out. The really big event was in the 1960s, the televised debate of Kennedy versus Nixon. And there were some other things which led up as well to changing the way we thought about political ecology and media affecting that originally, because originally people would just usually reaffirm their beliefs with their friends. So usually they'd get their values from their families and then they'd reaffirm their beliefs with friends, and often media such as the radio and paper to reaffirm their beliefs. And so if you look at this chart I've kind of made here, you can kind of see the change between television and radio and print, when people are kind of just going to radio and print to reaffirm their beliefs, and television was kind of the opposite, when you started to see a real change in people's views on politics. So yeah, and the addition of ads in ad breaks. So politicians are really interested in social media at the moment. It's really changing the landscape of media, but it's kind of going back to this old time before television was a part, because social media, as you know, is kind of, and online is kind of replacing television in general. And so Sam Dastaria has spent $20,000 in a day on 4 social media videos. Adam Band has spent $9,000 on 3 social media videos. And this is obviously to attract a younger demographic. And so what's interesting about this is the real trying to connect with people. But the thing about this is that it's still being kind of used to reaffirm people's beliefs. It's not really kind of reaching out to a new demographic. It's always kind of trying to get people to reaffirm. And you see this in places like, Queensland with Pauline Hanson, and this kind of right-wing chamber as well. And people call there's a left-wing chamber, and there is this polarization of social media which happens. So if you look at the Super Bowl, you can see in this the image to the left that a lot of the nodes are homogenous, or like they're very separate, and they're very sparse out, and liberals will interact with conservatives quite easily. But if you look at the US election ones, you can see massive clusters together. So on the right, there's to the bottom left, there's a lot of like liberals, and then to the top right, there's a lot of conservatives. Mike Baird is a really interesting case. He was premier, and he had a social media strategy, and he was put as a really progressive politician in New South Wales, and he was once coined the social media darling, doing a lot of live tweets from talking at The Bachelor and making dad jokes. And so his downfall, though, was when he flaked on groundhound racing and the introduction of lockout laws. And his social media had this effect of just taking back from what's it came. So he built up this big social media following, and then his followers just kind of, attacked him, which looked completely, it's quite an interesting thing, which it built him up and then brought him down. The only last thing I want to talk about is big data. So big data played a big part of the 2016 election in the US. So Trump's campaign was led by this guy called Pascal, and Pascal was really good at digital marketing. And so he looked at places using some data from some very big data companies that they were working with and paid for. They found new people. They found people who hadn't been approached yet, and were kind of bipartisan. And they ended up making, alone, the list they made were worth 36 to 120 million, which was quite incredible. But the more incredible thing was that this data, they got this three-dimensional look into the Rust Belt, which is these kind of key seats, these 5 states that Trump needed to win. He was campaigning in Wisconsin and Michigan just before, a week before, and everyone said he was crazy. But they knew from the data that a lot of these people had just lost their jobs in manufacturing. So they used voter suppression on Democrats using Facebook ads, and they also found this new white class of people, like I was saying, these manufacturing, and they won these states, which they needed, which gave Trump the White House. And so that's my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me some feedback. Thanks.